It's probably a safe bet that if you love horror movies, especially slashers, that you probably love a creative, brutal kill. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Slasher Talk podcast. I hope everybody is having a great week. Listen, I think I say this every episode. I am so fucking tired, brother. Um, I am so tired, and it's mostly my own doing. I'm trying to better myself, okay? So, I have recently decided that I need to be more active. I need to get out of the house. I need to not watch fucking 5 movies a day. See, I have this I had this split thing in my brain going on. I keep a list of all the movies that I watch every year, right? So let's look at this. Like, I'm already going off on a tangent. This episode is gonna be fucking crazy, brother. So in 2025, that's not terrible. I watched 326 horror movies in 2025. Where is 2024? That was my 2024 was 400. I know that for a fact. So I did 400 horror movies in 2024. 2024 also was horror movies that I had never seen before. I challenged myself to only watch horror movies that I had never seen. So 2024 was no comfort movies like Scream or Sinister or Trick or Treat or any of the franchises. None of that, because I've already seen those. So 2024 was 400 horror movies that I had never seen. I need to probably do that again. It might be very difficult now, but whatever. 2025, I did 326. 2026 right now, I'm at 111. And we're like halfway through. I am slacking. See, but that's one part of my brain. I'm slacking. I'm not watching enough movies. But then I have this other part of my brain saying, yo, you chungus, you need to get out of the house. You need to exercise. You need to be more active and not watch 4 movies a day. So I'm at this split. I don't know which road to go down. This week, I've taken we need to be more active, lose some weight, better yourself, walk, exercise. So, which has been great. I think it helps a lot, with my mental state as well, which I've read. And I know that when I used to go to the gym 5 days a week, I don't want to say I've ever been a overly confident person, but I think going to the gym and being active in things definitely helps for sure. That's what my therapist says, and she's smart. So I'm not going to tell her she's wrong. So, but that's been this week. I've been out in the sun, walking a ton, at least 5 miles a day. I've been getting up at 6:30 a.m. I'm out the door by 7, and it takes me about an hour and a half, hour 40 minutes, but I get to listen to music. I've been listening tons of Senses Fail. I've re-listened to all the Knocked Loose albums. I need to start doing podcasts for sure. Anyway, I'm on this health kick, this better yourself journey in a lot of different ways. I'm trying to be a lot more positive. I'm trying to put myself into more uncomfortable situations because I have goals in life. I'm not going to go into all those because it has nothing to do with horror movies. But I have certain goals in life, and those aren't going to be. I'm not gonna get those things. I'm not gonna reach those goals if I'm just sitting in my house watching 4 to 5 horror movies a day, and just sitting in depression and low confidence and just being very content with where things are. So, I need to step forward, move forward, and, yeah, the vibes. We're getting higher vibes this year, and I'm trying, but I see my list is suffering, and I wanna watch more. So, I did have a little binge. I did have a little, like, at-home film fest for myself. I have watched a little bit more this week. I checked out Passenger last week. I think if you saw my I think if you saw my short form video. I don't know if I talked about it. No, because I had seen Passenger after I recorded the episode last week. So I would not have talked about it. I did not like it. I did not. I respect it. I have a lot of friends that really enjoyed it. I did not. Nope. Not for me, babes. I think it started off pretty strong. I think the beginning of that movie was so good, but it was essentially the trailer that got me invested in to watch the movie anyway. So even though the beginning of that movie is in my opinion, the best part of the entire thing, and I did enjoy it watching it in full on the big screen, I knew what was coming because that was essentially the trailer. So then I just didn't get connected with the characters or whatever. I'm not gonna go through a big review. I just didn't. It felt very predictable. There was one scene with a projector in the woods that I loved. That was super cool. But overall, Passengers just didn't really hit for me. But it seems to be hitting for a lot of people. And if you were one of those people, I am low key jealous because I want to leave every movie being like, hell yeah, I loved that. Passenger, not one of those for me. I rewatched Trick or Treat to kind of like, I need a comfort film. I need something. I bought, this was pre soundbar, never mind. Um, I have been doing some work to my living room. And so I was like, I'll watch a movie in my living room. Picked a comfort film, Trick or Treat. I love that movie. I think it's a 5 out of 5. I love Sam. I just love that movie. If you haven't seen Trick or Treat yet, I can't help you. Then I watched Monkey's Magic Merry-Go-Round. That was interesting. This starts I had a day where I had, like, a little film fest. The first day, the first movie I watched in the morning was this. Very weird. Not gonna be everybody's cup of tea. It lines up with that whole, like, 90s TV show, a show that we grew up with in the 90s. This one's very Mister Rogers' Neighborhood. It's this TV show host, I think his name was James. I'm terrible. I don't remember things a few days after. That's why I didn't really retain a lot in school. Anyway, his name was James, I'm pretty sure. And he's essentially Mr. Rogers, but he has amnesia and he's trying to like get his memories back with the help of his pals. And his pals are these little puppets. Like King Rory's this lion that watches over uh the playground. There's an otter. Is he an otter? Maybe there's a bird, duck character. But the one that's but the two that are very creepy is this ferret, which is this guy in a costume, and he never says anything. He just like stands in the background, and I wish I could do his face, but his face is so fucking creepy. This costume is legitimately, like, is legit nightmare fuel. When his face popped up on the screen, I was like, "Excuse me? What the fuck is that?" So, that was creepy, but even though I do think the ferret is visually the most creepy, the monkey is this guy in a costume, and I love his it's like this, like, cartoony monkey face, and the guy that plays him crushes it. He has this monkey laugh and just his personality, but he has human hands, and it's so subtle. It's such a subtle thing, but when you see this monkey talking to James or just doing whatever, he's a full monkey, but then you see his human hands, and they're all kinda, like, dirty and shit, and there's just something about it that is so, like, uncanny, and it's so subtle, but it's so creepy, and it's like, you are not supposed to have human hands. So, that was a character design thing that was obviously very intentional, because if you can make an entire monkey suit, you can make him some sorta, like, gloves to have monkey hands, right? But they have human hands. It's so creepy. Um, Definitely not gonna be a movie for everybody, like I said. It is so weird, but they nailed the whole 90s, VHS 4x3 TV show vibe. The set was great. They have songs, like, all the puppets and the guys in costumes and things. They nailed it. It ends up being pretty sad, and there are moments of gore, but overall is like, if you're wanting to sit down and watch a straight horror, I wouldn't necessarily suggest this. Um, this is definitely more of like there's it's more psychological. It's psychological horror for sure. And like I said, there are some moments of like gore. It does kind of go off the rails here and there, but nothing that if somebody was like, I want to watch a scary horror movie, well, then don't watch Monkey's Magic Merry-Go-Round. This is so niche. It's so like I feel like this is for people that watch so much fucking horror. They're just looking for something unique and new, and that's what this is. There's another film coming out soon called Buddy, and I saw it at South by Southwest. And it's another one that's going to be continuing this, like, 90s TV like, this not 90s children's TV show. Because Buddy is essentially Barney, and it's the same thing. It's, like, 4 by 3. They have a set that just crushes. It looks identical to what the Barney used to the mailbox and the yard and the playground, and they had to have a house, and they have, like, this, like, song. So we now will have Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and then once Buddy comes out for the world to see, we'll have Barney as well. I'm curious what else they could do. Off the top of my head, like, dude, like a Bananas in Pajamas show. Does anybody know that? The Bananas in Pajamas? Because when I talked about Bananas in Pajamas, I sound so crazy. Um, when I talked about that with a couple of people a few weeks ago, they were like, "Huh?" And I was like, "Damn, okay." I think it was like a Disney show. Um, it came on, like, the same time as, like, Bear's Big Blue House. Anyway, I'm going down a fucking tangent again. Bananas in Pajamas horror film would be creepy as hell, though. I'm just saying that right now. I then watched a film called The Morrigan. It came out this year, and I skipped it at the beginning of this year because I just did not think that I was gonna vibe with it, but I was on Scream Box, having just watched Monkey's Magic Merry-Go-Round. That's where you can stream that if you are interested, but It was Monkey's Magic Merry-Go-Round was, the most watched on-screen box, and then number 2 was the Morrigan, so I thought, "Okay, well, I'll give it a watch, I need to watch it anyway, it's a new movie of this year." Also, didn't really like it. I liked it less than Monkey's Magic because at least Monkey's Magic had, like it felt like something I hadn't seen before. The Morrigan ends up I love, like, Irish folk vibes. I'm a sucker for that shit. Damien McCarthy, his entire catalog, Irish folk. I love that shit. I love folk horror in general. So I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, maybe I, like, judge this a little too much. It's ranked number 2. I do love Irish folk." That's not what this movie ends up being at all. It ends up being just, like, to me, a very generic possession exorcism type of film, and the same tropes. She's crawling on the ceiling, all this kind of shit, and I don't know, they had to have filmed on location for some of this shit for sure, but a lot of shots look just like CGI fake. I don't know. It really bothered me. The acting was not good. Um, and there were scenes with the Morgan once she finally came onto the screen where she'd just be like in the shadows and she'd have like these glowing green eyes. I'm kind of like, okay. Like, there were several things that I just never got locked into this movie. I'm like, I just don't care. So I kept pausing it, being like, how much time do I have left in this fucking thing? And at one point it said like an hour, and I was like, dude, I'm cooked. I'm fucking cooked. So I finished it. I don't know if you guys are like me, but I feel like there are so many films that you just have to see it through, because you never know. There could be a twist in like the third act. It could ramp up something. There's a film that we all walked out of at Fantastic Fest like 20 minutes or so in. Maybe it was more than that. I think Sid said we were there for like 35. Um, I do not remember what it's called off the top of my head. Gigi texted us a couple weeks back and was like, "Hey guys, was this the film?" Yes, it was. It's this black and white film about these sisters, and we walked out. I was so tired, and I just couldn't. It was a foreign film. I was tired. Nothing was happening. It was so slow, and I'm like, I would rather spend this time doing something else. I am not engaged into this movie at all. But I should have stayed because I keep hearing, "Yo, have you seen this? This one goes off the fucking rails. It's so good. Cool." I must have left right before it happened. And that's just my big thing, is like, you just never know. So I have call it a toxic trait. I don't know if it's toxic. But it's just hard for me to like stop a movie halfway through and say, "This sucks." I have a general idea of like, okay, this is probably not going to get any better, but I just like to see things through. So the Morgan, when I paused it and said like it's an hour left, I was like, okay, lock in. But I then watched a film called Killer Rental. Again, it had pretty high ratings I got on Prime Video, but I have the AMC. I have like Shudder and AMC attached to my Prime Videos. I don't even know if it's like on Prime Video or if it's on AMC. I don't know. Doesn't matter. But it had like a 4.5 out of 5 on Prime Video. And I didn't check Letterboxd before because I try not to do that. It's fine. I don't want to be swayed too much because part of the thing is like this is my job now, and I just need to I need to watch things, and even if I don't like them, I need to find a way to say, hey, I watched it, wasn't for me, but I can check it off the list and say, yes, I've seen it. I want to, at the end of the year, when I say, these are the best horror movies that I have watched from this year, I want to be able to say, and I watched a good chunk of what came out this year. I don't want to be, and I'm not talking shit, I'm not saying that if you were like this, that there's anything wrong, because there's not. I watch a lot. I'm in a very privileged position that I get to say that like watching horror movies has in some way, shape, or form become my job. And I love that. So I view it from a different view. I view this from a different point of view than just like somebody that has a fucking 9 to 5. They go to their job, they're just drugged through the mud, and they're working overtime. Maybe you guys have families, a relationship, whatever, and you just don't have the time to watch. Even I was telling Sean, I'm at 111 movies for the year, and he was like, holy shit, what do you mean? That's a lot. I'm like, oh, I thought I was slacking. So if you were somebody that only gets to see the the main theatrical releases that come out from these major studios, if you've seen 2025, of the new horror movie releases that come out in the theaters from like Blumhouse and Universal and shit, that's great. You're crushing it. And you can narrow it down to these are the best 10 I saw. Your list is not invalid. But for me, from my content creation in the horror space point of view, I want to be able to say, yo, I watched a lot of shit. The independent stuff, the stuff that nobody really knows that came out, or not a lot of people are paying attention to. I love finding films like that are great and say, yeah, everybody's super excited about The Mummy, but here are 3 films that came out in the independent side of things that blew The Mummy away. If you didn't know, I wasn't necessarily a huge fan of The Mummy as well. Did I think it was a terrible film? No. But a lot of people are like, it's like one of the best horror movies to come out in the last 10 years. Sorry, I just said that and I blacked out. So, not to be disrespectful if you love that film and that's your point of view, but huh? Okay. Killer Rental. Didn't like it. I just did not. I think the intro of Killer Rental was great. I was like, okay, shit, this is like they're doing something here. It does sort of kind of remind me of 13 Cameras, but there's an actual like killer in the house, gruesome kills. I love the practical special effects and all that. I was like, this is great. And then once we I saw that like Megan Lawless was in this film. She played Sarah in Obsession, so I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like I'll see something else that she's in. She's barely in it, so don't watch this movie just based off of that. But we meet these people that go into like the same house and they find this VHS tape that says like my first movie, and they watch it and like that's the film that you watch. And all the people that we hang out, the people that we are following in this like rental home, I just didn't like any of them. The acting was weird. I just didn't connect to this film whatsoever. There's a couple of decent kills, but they're so very few and far between. A lot of it's just you just hanging out with these people as they play like strip truth, truth or dare, and this one woman likes her cameraman but he is crushing on somebody else, and dude, I just don't care. I don't care. So, I don't know. I I I wish I would have liked it more. I had some great it does there's a couple of moments with some, when the kills actually happen, there are some great, moments of, like, you know, gore there. I saw where the movie was coming pretty early on, so, I just feel like if you're gonna watch something like that, that's, like, a similar vibe, I'd probably just watch 13 Cameras. Um, I liked that version of this concept a lot more, although this did have a bit more of a slasher vibe. Anyway, so that's kind of what I've been watching. I'm going to be watching The Backrooms later today. I cannot wait. It's 11 o'clock, so I watched that in like 5 hours. So hopefully I like it. My short form review will already be out, so I'm sure if you follow my pages like that, which if you're listening to the podcast, I hope that you do. You probably have already seen my opinion on Backrooms. I'm incredibly excited for it. I will say that I'm not like an expert in like Backrooms lore or anything like that, but I'm very excited to see what Kane Parsons does so young. But I love this movement of, Curry Barker is so young and Obsession is crushing. Like, doing things that people did not expect this movie to do. It did, like, 30% more in the second week than it did its first week. Love that. Kane Parsons, again, from YouTube, super young, directed his first movie for A24. People are saying that there's no way that Kane Parsons could have directed this movie by himself. Why the fuck not? I just don't understand that. So I hope it crushes. It's expected to be a massive opening weekend. So I hope I love it. I do. Anyway, so on this channel called Slasher Talk, we haven't necessarily talked slashers for a while. And I do get shit for that, which I get it. It's called Slasher Talk. But it's just I just love slashers, and it was like a unique name that nobody else had that I was like, "Yeah, I love that." Right. Rolls off the tongue. It lets people know that this is a horror page. I'm not talking just strictly slashers, but I do love slashers. So I figured um, I would kind of go through some of my favorite horror movie kills. And not every single thing in this is slasher, but the majority of it is. So we're getting some slasher vibes. Hooray! These are gonna be in no particular order. Sorry, my burnt peanut stem came out. So sorry. These are gonna be in no particular order, but just some of my favorite horror movie kills. I'm sure I have this problem that when I get this question that I can think of like 3 or 4 off the top of my head, and then I go, "I've never seen a horror movie in my entire life." Not once. So, I was able to come up with 10, sitting down and thinking this morning about some, like, kills that I think are great. I'm not saying these are the 10 best kills. I'm not saying these are my top 10 favorite kills. These are just kills that I think are pretty fucking cool. Okay? I will say that some of these kills would be on a top 10 list of mine. But like, for example, never mind. I'll talk about that when I get to that portion. Never mind. You're gonna have to wait. So yesterday, I got something very cool in the mail, and it kind of like what sparked this idea for the episode. So I figured I would talk about this first. I got this really cool Scream alternative poster in the mail. Hung it up, dude, it's incredible. For those of you watching the video, I'm gonna like include a photo of the poster because like you just have to see it. It's incredible. And it's a different perspective, a unique creative perspective that I've never seen done of this scene. I just love it so fucking much. So I want to talk about the intro to Scream, and you're probably thinking, are you fucking kidding me? The best horror movie kills, and the first thing that you come up with is Scream. Hear me out. Hear me out. The entire intro to Scream, what makes this kill, what makes Casey Becker's kill, to me, deserving to be on a best horror movie kills list like this, is the entire scene itself. It's not just the kill, because honestly, the kill, there's really not much to it, right? Casey's running down the side of the house, Ghostface is chasing her, she gets stabbed in the chest, she falls down, stabbed a couple more times. That's all we see. But it's the entire scene, the build up, and the circumstances at the end of this kill that I think make it a first off, an iconic masterpiece of an opening scene. This might be my favorite opening to a movie ever. That's probably so basic of me to say, but I think that's true. I feel it in my heart of hearts. I fucking love this movie. Anyway, this scene, the entire buildup of Casey's at home alone. She's waiting for Steve, to arrive. They're going to watch a movie. She's making popcorn and the phone call, and everybody's seen it, right? But this game that Ghostface plays with her in in that iconic, I want to know who I'm looking at. Just, what? Excuse me? So then the game is on. And the entire back and forth, and Steve being tied in the chair, and of course, R.I.P. Steve, which the poster shows, Casey looking out in pure fear as Ghostface is stabbing Steve on this chair. I just love the entire setup of this poster. But getting to the kill, having Casey see her parents coming down the driveway. She can see headlights, and they live out in the middle of nowhere. Who else could it be other than her parents? Although, I will say, which possibly maybe she wasn't necessarily hiding. I don't guess I never got this, vibe of like she was trying to hide Steve from her parents or whatever. I think that's just a high school thing that I projected onto the film. Oh, my parents are gone. Boyfriend, come over. Let's watch a movie. But because they kind of seem like they came home a little early. Anyway, she's running down the side of the house, and Ghostface stabs her. And just the moment that she's crawling on the side of the house, and her parents are out of the car. They're walking up the stairs to go into the front door, and she can't get enough of a breath or enough of a voice to call loud enough for help. Because at this point, she's not dead yet. So sad. And I think that amplifies what is currently happening. And that's what I'm talking about. It's not necessarily the on-screen brutality that we see, but this is brutal, and it's so sad. She sees help. She sees her parents, and she can't call out to them because she just can't find the strength. She's been stabbed. She's currently dying. And the parents go into the house, and the popcorn's on fire. the back window shattered, things are turned over. They come home to a fucking hellhole. And of course, they panic, and the popcorn goes in the sink. And where's Casey? Where's Casey? Let's not panic. I'm sure she's fine. Pick up the phone, call 911, and go down to the Mackenzies. And as she picks up the phone, she can hear her dying daughter on the other end of the line. Fuck off. Fuck off. That's crazy. It's so sad. And when Casey? And then of course, Ghostface. And of course you get the shot of Casey holding the phone, and she's dragging the phone, as Ghostface is dragging her through the yard. She's holding on to the phone. And of course, Ghostface, then like sees it, and the line goes dead. And as her mom is leaving the house, and now just sheer fucking pure panic, she is emotional because like her daughter's missing. She heard her on the other end of the phone. She's freaking out to go outside and to see what she sees. Her daughter hung up in a tree, completely just gutted. Her just guts completely out, hanging out. Oh my God. So to me, it's, again, I've said this, it's not necessarily what we see on screen. Yes, because her hanging from a tree, guts from the outside, guts from the inside on the outside, that's gory, it's graphic, especially for like a main, at that time, a mainstream horror film. But it's not like it like sits on that shot for forever and says, look at this, it's a quick like boom 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 boom, and I just, the entire scene, the entire sequence of events, but adding those layers and those heightened, and I think, I don't want to talk about Obsession again, but I might have to, because I just thought of this on a conversation that I had with some friends yesterday. But it's not necessarily what you see, but it's the environment. It's certain moments within the scene that heighten the horror and make this, what you're watching, more visceral, more emotional, and it just heightens everything that is happening. Her seeing her parents, her not being able to call out, her on the phone, all these things just make it so incredibly sad. And you don't need to see Ghostface, cut open her stomach and rip out her insides and hang her from the tree. None of that. Like, that would ruin it. I don't need to see it. You can imply it, and that's all. Let my brain, imagine what that might have looked like or whatever. That's more horrific. There are some things on this list, obviously, that you see everything, and I love practical special effects, so I love that shit. But things like this, if we get a cutaway of what was happening to Casey, it ruins that reveal. I'm going to talk about Obsession real quick. I keep seeing a lot of people upset about the scene when Bear goes back to the house, and Ian had just got his $1 billion. She gets back, Bear gets back to the house, and we see that Wish Nikki, I like to call her Wish Nikki, but people say it's Freaky Nikki. Cool, whatever. She doesn't like to be called that, okay? Respect. Have some fucking respect, okay? Anyway. Wish Nikki has built a shrine to Bear. The camera pans over and you see a mutilated, now completely naked Sarah tied up in this chair in the kitchen. And people say, why? That's such the male gaze. It ruins that movie. You did not have to show her naked on that chair. And it just like it undermines the entire story that they're trying to tell and this, that, and the other. You're saying how um the male gaze can, be toxic, this, that, and the other, but then you include this scene, and I'm like, it's, and again, this is just my opinion, but that was a moment that I thought of similar to like Casey crawling up and like seeing her parents walk in. It's a moment that heightens everything. We haven't seen Wish Nikki yet. The camera pans and we see this body that was supposed to be disposed of. She has no clothes on, and it's in the background. It's not like Curry did a fucking zoom in on her body and stay on it for an uncomfortable amount of time being like, "Do you see this naked dead woman in the kitchen?" It's implied. You do see it enough to go, "Oh shit." But I don't think that Curry, like, focused on that enough to be called out for what he's being called out for. I think showing that, to me, heightens the moment. It's just like, "Oh my god. Oh my god. Like, she's not supposed to be here. What the fuck is Nikki doing?" And then it reveals, and then you go over to Nikki, and she has her dress on. And she's got her tattoos. She's like replicated her tattoos and shit. And it's like, I guess technically you could have not shown Sarah's body in that way and gone over and you would see the tattoos and shit, but like a lot of people didn't get the fact that Nikki was dressed as Sarah and we saw the body. So I can't imagine how confused people would have been if we didn't see the body. But seeing that body before that reveal just, to me, heightened the horror of what was happening. And then to get that reveal, oh my God, this woman, she drug Sarah home, took her dress off, I believe scalps her, puts her hair on top of her own hair, and she's trying to be Sarah for Bear. And it's just like, I don't think that adding that had any sort of like ill intention. It was there to heighten, and I think it was very effective, in my opinion. Now, I say this as a man, so if that's not a great look on that shit, call me out, man. Let me know. But I just like, to me, that's how I viewed that. Showing her in the chair on a quick pan in the background was like, hey, this has been happening. This shit's crazy, huh? Well, wait till you see this. It just heightens everything in the situation. And to me, again, it was very effective. Anyway, I gotta stop talking about Obsession. Next kill that I thought was great. Hatchet. I've talked about this one before, at least on short form. The first Hatchet. Shannon and Jim, the older couple that are on this tour. Jim has like injured his ankle or whatever, something where like, he needs help walking. And everybody was like, brother, no. They see this like creepy house in the distance and they're like, nah, we're good. We're so good. And Shannon, Jim's wife, is like, yeah, I hate you people. He needs help. Come on, Jim. We're gonna go up. We're gonna go up to this house and we're gonna ask for help. And these fucking people, blah. It starts to rain and the lightning goes off. And of course, here comes Victor fucking Crowley. And the lightning goes off. He reveals himself. He starts doing his little shakes and his like New Orleans swamp yell, goes and kills Jim in a a pretty brutal way. I think he like twists his neck or something. I don't necessarily remember exactly how Jim dies. It's Shannon that I want to talk about. But Jim gets killed in front of Shannon. She's freaking out. Victor runs over, and as she's screaming, gets behind her, and just like King Kong, I'm sure you've all seen that video of like him like ripping the Tyrannosaurus Rex, jaw, forward back. It's like the reverse bear trap and saw, that kind of vibe. He, with his bare hands, just rips her jaw open. And this scene is so cool because it does this 360 circle effect as it's happening, and it's just fucking brutal. That's one of the kills that just like stand out to me in the Hatchet series. I need to rewatch the entire franchise. But when I think Hatchet, that's one of the kills where I'm just like, dude, Shannon, R.I.P. Like, you were just trying to help your husband, and then you got your fucking face split in half with some ugly motherfucker's bare hands. You hate to see it. R.I.P. Shannon. Next kill. Okay. I love this movie. I've talked about it probably an abnormal amount of times. But I love French extremity films. And I love home invasion. So, of course, you know what I'm talking about. Inside. 2007. Inside. I love it. It's brutal. It's intense. It's a home invasion. It's relentless. It's so relentless. And again, foreign films tend to cross the line. US, there tends to be a line, and they're saying, we cannot cross this. Audiences will not like this. They will, there's no audience for where we could take this scene. And I think that's very evident in a lot of the US remakes of foreign horror films. They tend to always just be not as brutal. They just played it so safe when the original is not safe whatsoever. So Inside, if you've never seen it, it's about this woman named Sarah, and she's pregnant. She gets in a car accident that kills her husband. And so now she's a widow. She's getting ready to have this baby, and she's now going to be a single mother. Sarah just got back from a checkup of her baby. Everything is fine. She's on the verge of like getting ready to go into labor, all that. It's Christmas Eve. She just wants to chill at home. And that's what Sarah does. She's just chilling at home until there's a knock at her front door from some random woman. And this woman tries to talk her way inside the house. Long story short, this woman wants Sarah's baby. So fast forward, because I'm not going to spoil the entire film, but obviously if you've never seen Inside, spoilers for the very end. Holy shit, this movie. So all this brutality, all this like cat and mouse chasing, all this happens, and we end up on the stairs of Sarah's house. Sarah is bleeding out. She's crawling up the stairs to try to get away from this crazed woman. We find out is the woman that was involved in the car accident. And that woman also happened to be pregnant. And because of that car accident, this woman had a miscarriage. And this woman, I think that's how that she's billed in the movie too, just like the woman. And she says, "You took my baby from me, so I'm gonna need you to like give me yours." Is basically what it is. And Sarah's crawling up the stairs trying to get away from her. But then, and Sarah's dying, all this, and now she's like, kind of somewhat pleading for help, and this, that, and the this, that, and the other. And this woman goes, "Cool, I got you." Cuts open her dress, peels her dress back, and then cuts her stomach wide open and performs a C-section on the stairs. Brother, when I tell you the first time I saw this fucking movie, I was like, what the fuck? Hello? And the amount of blood that it's literally a waterfall of blood that's just running down these fucking stairs. And this woman fucking yanks this baby out of Sarah's stomach. Obviously, that's how Sarah dies. I will never forget that shit. And then, of course, like the end of the movie, the woman takes the baby over to like this like kitchen table, sits in a chair, and holds it, and it's just like, holy fuck. But that entire C-section on the stairs finale of this movie is insane. It's literally burned in my brain. I will never forget watching that shit for the first time. I was like, holy fuck. Brutal. Let's do something that's not necessarily as brutal, but still pretty fucking brutal. Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. You could probably pick a lot of the kills in this movie to be fair, but I'm going to pick one. And it's one that, in all honesty, when I think of Dream Warriors, I think of the TV kill. Welcome to prime time, bitch. Like, I do think of that first, but the puppet marionette kill on Philip is iconic and just so insane to watch. Yes, it's now dated for sure, right? But holy fuck, what a kill. Freddy takes this motherfucker's insides, his veins and shit, and uses them, turns him into an actual like marionette, and walks this motherfucker through the mental hospital, up all these stairs, and you get that great shot of like Freddy over, with the gloves and shit, and everybody's like, Philip, no, and jumps off. But that scene when Philip is just like walking the halls and he's just gross, dog. Disgusting. Great kill. I loved it. Great fucking kill. Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. I'm sure a lot of you have already seen it, but yeah, the puppet kill from Dream, yeah, that's so iconic. The TV scene, Welcome to Primetime, bitch. I mean, that's arguably probably more iconic. But fuck, that marionette kill, gross. This one might cause a little bit of a stir. I don't know. Let's have some fun. I'm putting Primate on this list. I don't give a fuck. I know so many people hated this movie. I've crashed out about it so many times. That's fine. That's fine. It hurts me. And mostly it hurts me because I have to like go inside myself and think, do I have shit taste in horror movies? Do I have shitty taste? I don't think I do, but I genuinely had so much fun with Primate. There were a lot of scenes that I felt were genuinely so tense, and because it's essentially a slasher film, but with a rabid chimpanzee. So, John Carpenter. Anyway, I've already talked about all that shit. The jaw kill in Primate, I think, is so fucking good. I loved it. Again, nothing that necessarily we hadn't like quote quote seen before, but again, I think the entire scene, the situation, the environment, and how the scene plays out, I think there's a lot of like implications that I think just heighten this scene for me that really makes it stand out. This motherfucker, this douchebag from the plane, him and his friend show up. And obviously they were invited, so I will say that. But the girls end up calling and be like, hey, you should come to the house. We're drunk, all this, come hang out. They finally show up. And of course, all this crazy shit has happened. And I think it was his name Drew. I don't know. I'm gonna say, the Becky's with blonde. Whatever. One of the boys that's obviously just here to fuck. And that is part of the implication that I'm going to talk about a little later, is he's just basically here. Oh, women are drunk. Let's go get some. Fucking gross. He ends up in her bedroom, looking around, hops on her bed, and here comes Ben. And, of course, the kid tries to like, oh, good monkey, who the fuck has a monkey, and starts to, taunt him with the keys and this, this, that, and the other. And Ben's like, I've had that enough of you, dog, and jumps on top of him and holds his hands down onto the bed with his feet. Ben uses his feet to hold this guy's hands where he can't move. Whether the dude is consenting to this or not, this is happening. You see, we see where I'm going with this? It just very much felt like, you motherfucker were here to do one thing. And I'm not saying that the implication was that he was going to like sexually assault one of the, just the intentions of this guy. I think you can, from the situation, I don't think it's unfair to say this is what he showed up for. And a lot of young men, which I think is terrible, but a lot of young men in those situations, they're here for one thing and they're going to fucking get it. So I think Ben holding him down like that implies like, hey, roles reversed. Whether you want this to happen or not, guess what? It's happening. And the kid's just running his mouth, yelling this, that, and the other. I told you, no, get off me. And Ben literally takes his fingers puts it in his mouth and starts to rip. And he rips this kid's jaw clean off. And you see it. It's brutal. There might be, I will say, there might be a little bit of CGI on top of it, but I know that at Fantastic Fest, they told us they did this practically. And so there might be a little bit of CGI on top of it to like finish some things out, but I know that this was a practical kill. But again, so you have this implication of like, you were here to do one thing, roles reversed. I loved all of that kind of shit. Rips his jaw off. And then not only does he rip his jaw off, not only was it brutal as shit, this kid's not dead yet. And now he's sitting there, jawless, and Ben, while on top of him, takes his jaw and starts to taunt him. Just hilarious. A moment within the scene that to me heightens what I just saw. I think that is such a memorable kill. It's one of my favorite kills of this year, for sure. So I wanted to include it on this list. Just stop hitting on Primate. I might be the only person that loves Primate as much as I love Primate, but I'm okay with that. It is what it is. This one, I don't think anybody is going to think is on this list. I will be shocked if half, I'll say half the people that are listening to this episode has even seen this movie that I'm about to talk about. And if you have, fuck yeah, dude. It's called Dream Home. It's this, I believe it's, hold on. I think it's set in Hong Kong. Yes, it's set in Hong Kong. So, Dream Home. It's about this woman who, I have to set the stage a little bit. I'm not going to tell you everything, but for this kill to make, I guess I can tell you about the kill, not tell you this, but it just makes it, again, context. This woman is working 2 jobs to save up enough money to purchase her own apartment in these new, like, incredibly nice, like, high-rise apartment kind of things. And it, this particular one looks over the Victoria Harbor, and it's her dream. It's like her life goal. There's a lot more to her upbringing and the backstory of this, but long story short, it's her lifelong dream to own this apartment in this particular complex. She ends up with the money that she needs, but then something happens where the seller of this apartment says, hey, never mind, we actually have to raise the price, so you no longer have enough money. Therefore, you can't have this apartment. And this woman loses her fucking mind, which results in her going to said complex and just committing a string of brutal murders. And one of these will never leave my brain. This movie's pretty brutal. I don't think it's like a 5 out of 5, even a 4. I think I gave it like a 3.5. I'd say like a 3.5. I did enjoy it, but the kills in this are brutal. This kill specifically, she's in this woman's apartment, and she kills her with a vacuum. A vacuum? Justin, how do you kill somebody with a vacuum? I would love to fucking tell you. So, when I was growing up, My mom did not, I don't remember having vacuum sealed bags for like blankets and shit. We might have had them. But I mostly remember the craze of like leftover food and all that. And we had like this like vacuum seal device that would like suck out all the air, so it would like preserve like your leftover food and stuff. You could throw it in the freezer or whatever. That's fucking how. Not necessarily the food thing. That's just how I can explain it. But those vacuum sealed bags that people use for like clothes, blankets, and shit. This woman puts a vacuum sealed bag over this other woman's head, takes the vacuum, puts it on the end, and turns it on. And this bag very quickly starts to remove all the air and move in on this woman's face as she is screaming for air. Well, guess what? You don't have any because a vacuum took it all. You are literally being vacuum sealed. This scene is so goddamn brutal. Because can you imagine? Like, this feels like a more visceral, brutal, like, quote unquote, updated version of Claire's death in Black Christmas. Because we've all seen, plastic bags go over the head or whatever. Like Claire in Black, that kill is brutal as well. Essentially the same concept, right? Billy comes out of the closet, puts the bag over her head, yanks it so that she can't breathe. But this kill is a vacuum is literally removing all the air. She has it just full on tight on her head. Fucking brutal, dude. Just that's a kill that I never see anybody talk about. That shit was crazy. So yeah, if you've never seen Dream Home, and you like foreign films, maybe a little slow, it's got some brutal moments though. Check it out. Next on my list, Sinister. Again, not necessarily the most graphic, gory scene. But that lawn work tape just fuck. Forever, I've said this like 8,000 times on this podcast, forever burned in my brain. I will never forget watching that for the first time. Watching that kid, first off, Ellison takes the reel and you see lawn work and you go, well, that can't be good. What does that mean? And he puts in the reel and that kid goes into the garage and turns the lawn mower on, and it cuts to the lawnmower being in the grass. And just how that entire sequence, again, is executed. Absolutely brutal. Shocking. Scared the fuck out of me. That kid is pushing that lawnmower through the grass, and all of a sudden, hi, Dad. I'm going to run over your face now. Yeah. That might not be a long scene. That might not be a graphic, gruesome scene. But with the Super 8 film and just how that scene was executed, Scott Derrickson, I love you. Like, that shit's crazy. And one of my favorite moments in a horror movie of all time. It gets me every time too. Because it's not like I see Sinister, it's not like I've seen it like 20, 25 times or or anything, or I watch it every year or whatever. So it's just like the timing that that pops up on the screen, you runs it over. I have told this story several times, but I may have partaken in an earthly substance, some mushrooms one time, and I was like, let's watch Sinister. Like you do, because I'm psychotic and I have something wrong with me. When I tell you that I was in that movie holding that lawnmower while this scene was happening, it was like watching that scene for the first time all over again in some completely different perspective. That shit was crazy to experience. How I got through that entire movie is beyond me, but I specifically remember that specific scene. It felt like I was holding onto the back of that lawnmower, just pushing. It felt so incredibly real. So that's not why I had seen the movie so many times before. It's like that wasn't my first experience and not why it's on this list. But I had to say that additional experience, crazy. Do not recommend. That is not me saying you should go. No. Nope. Drugs are bad. Or whatever the guy from fucking South Park says. Anyway. Fear Street 1994. This kill came out of fucking nowhere. I remember watching this on Netflix when it first came out. And just the overall vibe of the Fear Street series. I did not expect what happens to Kate to happen. They are in that grab and bag grocery store working through, I believe it's like the second attempt to catch the killer, because they attempted to catch him in the school, and I don't think that worked out. So now they're in the grocery store where some of them work, I believe. I don't know. It's been a little bit. I just remember the skull killer eventually making his way into the grocery store, chasing everybody down, and then he gets to Kate, and Kate ends up in this fucking cake, and she's got cake all over the side of her face, and he's choking her, and he stabs her in the stomach, and she's fighting, and he turns around and throws her on this machine, which turns out to be a bread slicer. And I remember watching this going, they're not going to show this. She's going to get out of this. And even if she does not get out of what's about to happen, they're not going to show it. They hadn't shown anything really like this. Boy, was I wrong. This motherfucker shoves her straight through that bread slicer, and they show you pretty well everything. Cake face and all. That bread slicer, especially for a Netflix show, props, respect, because I did not see that shit coming, and it lives rent-free up here. The hacksaw scene in the original Terrifier. I have to bring up the hacksaw scene in this because this is the scene that really launched Art the Clown, and Terrifier into what it is today. Art the Clown, in my opinion, is now considered a horror icon. You just cannot deny the exponential growth in popularity that both Art the Clown and this franchise has had since 2016 when this movie came out. It's been 10 years, and the rise of Art the Clown and this franchise in the course of those 10 years is insane. And I don't think it happens if it's not for the hacksaw scene. Arguably, it's Terrifier 2. But the hacksaw scene really helped build a foundation of characters and what Art the Clown is about. I would imagine, again, if you're listening to this podcast, you have watched Terrifier. If you have not, spoilers, obviously, but the scene I'm talking about, the infamous hacksaw scene, Art's got Tara tied up in this, in this chair, and he's, taunting her and goes over to this sheet that's covering something. Art tears down the sheet, revealing Tara's best friend, Dawn, hanging upside down. She's completely naked, minus like some underwear that she has on. Art goes over, takes this, looks to be just dirty, dull handsaw, and rips off her underwear and just saws her in half in front of Tara. And I will never forget watching this movie in my house in Florida. I was at the house by myself, and I ordered a pizza, and I got on Netflix, and the first thing that popped up on the main screen was, "We think that you might like this," and it was a picture of Art the Clown sitting in the booth in that pizza shop, just sitting there with his fucking smile. And I'm like, well, I love clowns. That's cool. Yeah, let me watch this. I was not prepared for the hacksaw scene. This was on Netflix. I was like, what in the fuck did I just watch? This is insane. It's insane. So the hacksaw scene is just gonna be forever famous to me within horror and slasher and like best kills. I think it's hard not to put it on a list like this. I do think the hacksaw scene was very instrumental in launching that character, that franchise. And I mean, people talk about that scene all the fucking time. So definitely Damien's whole approach to, well, why are people going to watch my $35,000 independent movie? Well, I have to create a scene that's going to make people talk. Well, mission accomplished. The hacksaw scene was crazy, insane, nuts. Last one I want to talk about is the yoga scene from In a Violent Nature. This is a movie where, again, I would compare it to Terrifier in the point of there's one scene that people talk about that movie for. Terrifier, it's typically the hacksaw scene. Now, Terrifier has Art the Clown, and as a character, Art the Clown is just, a lot of people gravitate towards him. Johnny, not so much in Violent Nature. Violent Nature gets shit on for being a walking simulator of a movie. Look, I get it. I'm a big, like, video game person. I love The Last of Us and shit. And, like, in Violent Nature, watching Johnny walk around this environment and how they used, the sound effects and as he's walking in on conversations and shit, it just really tapped into that video game brain I loved it up until like the last 20 minutes, that last part where it shifts from Johnny to the final girl. That I didn't really care for. But the yoga scene kill, Jesus Christ. The yoga kill scene is essentially what they marketed the movie off of, and to me, it delivered. I had the opportunity to see this scene early. I had a PR company reach out to me, and they were like, "Hey, Slasher Talk, we think you would love this. We would love to show you an early scene of the upcoming slasher film in a violent nature. We think you're gonna love it. Um, we would love to record your reaction and possibly use it for like marketing and things." Yeah, sure. All in. That was the scene they showed me. Was the yoga scene. I could not believe what I was watching. I don't know that I had seen necessarily anything like that before. It was all practical, and just the absurdity of the kill was like, what the fuck? Easily, I think the best kill of the year in 2024. Like, hard to beat. Johnny walks in on this girl doing yoga, and she really has nowhere to go other than, people say, "Oh, you should have ran left, right, whatever." I think it's just more of like a slasher trope of like, well, I'm supposed to die, so okay, let's just get it over with, right? Hooks her in the head, brings the other hook through her stomach, and just fucking yanks her head through, and just it shows everything. It's brutal, it's excessive, it's absurd, all done practically, and I loved it. I loved it. Um, I think it's a very memorable kill. It's a very memorable scene in a movie that I personally liked. I hope the second one gets a lot more love. Um, I can't imagine. I'm guessing that In a Violent Nature is gonna be a similar franchise or series to Terrifier, where, they're gonna want to, like, try to, like, outdo themselves each time because, like, I feel like you kinda have to. With a scene like the yoga kill, to do a sequel and not have anything at least close to, like, that level of a visual kill, I think would be not smart whatsoever. So I'm very interested to see what they do with the sequel. But yeah, if obviously, if you've seen In a Violent Nature, uh, hard to forget the yoga kill. Um, Man, her head going. I don't even know that your head can go through your body like that. But they got it to work, so bravo. One of the best kills I've ever seen. Love that. So yeah, there are 10 random brutal horror movie kills that I personally love. Again, not a top 10, not ranked, none of that. Although I do think that some of these kills could be on a top 10, but like Terrifier, for example, like, yes, I picked the hacksaw scene, but you can pick so many kills within that franchise, but I'm not going to talk about 6 different Terrifier kills in one video. That could be an episode, maybe. I'm smart. Anyway, let me know what some of your favorite horror movie kills are. If some of your favorite kills are on this list, which ones did I mention? I will probably do a second episode of this sometime down the road because I just think talking creative kills is so much fun. I'm a psychopath. Anyway, thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't yet, giving me a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever platform you are listening to me on. I would greatly appreciate it. It just helps the podcast get out to more people through the algorithm. And we want to build this shit as much as we can. I love you. Also, if you haven't followed me yet on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, please do that as well. That, again, helps me greatly, and I would love you for it. Not sure what the next episode is going to be, again, because I just don't plan this thing. I got to get better at that. Self-improvement. See, we're wrapping it around. Plan out your podcasts. Just do it, man. Just plan them out. Anyway, thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you for letting me ramble about some kills. So I need to wrap this up, get it transferred to my computer, eat some lunch, and then I got to go see Backrooms. So I will talk to you guys next week. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And until the next episode, remember, watch something spooky this week.